Okay, so good day. In this video, you will learn what is a rational number, how to convert fraction to decimal, decimal to fraction, and repeating decimals to fractions. Okay, so let us first define what is a rational number. So a rational number can be expressed in the form of a over b, where a and b are integers and b should not be equal to 0. So we have here our numerator and our denominator, which are integers, and our denominator should not be equal to 0. So the following are examples of what we call rational number. We have 4/5, we have 2 and 1/2, we have negative 3/5, we have 7/15 or 7 over 15, and negative 3. Okay, now you will wonder why is it negative 3 included in an example of what we call rational number. Wala naman po siyang denominator. So, hindi naman po siya nakasulat or naka-express in this form which is a over b. Now, this negative 3, since that is an integer, we can also write this into in that expression or in this form which is a over b. How? By having a denominator which is 1. So we can write this as negative 3, okay, all over 1. So, pasok po siya sa definition ng ating rational number wherein, and as you can see, our b is not equal to 0 or yung ating denominator po is not equal to 0. Instead, our denominator here is 1. So, di ba? We always remember that yung whole number po or any whole number or any integer po, lagi po siya, or to make it as a fraction, lagi po siyang merong imaginary which is a denominator of 1. So that's why negative 3 is also what we call a rational number. Now, let us have on how we convert fraction to decimal. So we have simply divide the numerator by the denominator. And we will do this until we get a decimal that either terminates or repeats. Okay, so if we have here a decimal that repeats, we will place a bar over the first number that repeats. So let's have the following example. For example number 1, let us convert 5 over 4 into decimal. So again, we have here our numerator that will be our dividend. Okay, so yung numerator natin ay ito po, yung nasa taas. And since that will be our dividend, it will be written inside, okay, from the symbol of division that we have. And then, our denominator will be the divisor. So, ito naman pong number na nandito sa ilalim, our denominator will be the divisor. So, that will be written outside. Okay, so now we will divide 5, or we are now dividing numbers or both with one digit. So, 5 divides 4 will give us 1. Okay, then this quotient will be multiplied by the divisor. So, 1 times 4 will give us 4. Okay, what operation we are going to use? We have to subtract. So, 5 minus 4 will give us 1. Okay, next, ito pong difference, which is 1, ay i-divide natin by 4. Okay, is 1 divisible by 4? Madidivide po ba yung 1 sa 4? Hindi po. So, therefore, we have to add 0. Okay? Since this is a whole number, ang whole number laging tatandaan po that ang decimal point po natin ay nandun sa pinakadulo. Or meron siyang imaginary, dyan siya ang decimal point. So, therefore, we will add here 0. So, from 0, we will bring down, and we will have here 10. Okay? So, 10 divided by 4. So, pwede na siyang ma-divide. Yung 10, pwede na natin siyang ma-divide by 4. And we have how many 4s? We have 2. Okay? You can see, kung naglagay po tayo ng decimal point dito, maglalagay din po tayo dito sa taas, kung saan tatapatan po natin. Then, 2 times 4 will give us 8. Okay? So, again, we subtract. So, 10 minus 8 will give us 2. Okay? 2 divides 4, again, 2 cannot be divided by 4. That's why mag-a-add po ulit tayo dyan ng 0. So, bring down 0. We will now have here 20. So 20 divided by 4 will give us now, which is 5. So 5 times 4 will give you 20. So 20 minus 20 is equal to 0. So therefore, 5 over 4 is equal to 1.25. Okay, or 1 and 25 hundredths, or 25 hundredths, sorry. So that is the equivalent um, decimal of 5 over 4. Next example, let us convert 2 over 8 into decimal. Again, our numerator will be the dividend, so the dividend will be written inside, and then our denominator will be the divisor, so the divisor will be written outside. So again, you are dividing here numbers by one digit. So 2 divides 8, so cannot be, or that will give us 0. So 0 multiplied by 8 will give us 0. Any number that is multiplied by 0, the answer is 0. So 2 minus 0 is equal to 2. Okay. So since we have here 2 divides 8, again, cannot be po, mag-a-add po ulit tayo dyan ng 0. So what will you do to 0? You have to bring it down. So bring down 0, we will have here now 20. So 20 divided by 8 will give you 2. Then 2 multiplied by 8 will give you 16. So 20 minus 16 is equal to 4. So 4 divides 8. Pwede po ba? Cannot be po, or hindi po kayang i-divide yung 4 sa 8. So that's why again, we will add 0. So bring down 0. We have now here 40. So 40 divides 8 will give you 5. Then 5 times 8 will give you 40. So 40 minus 40 is equal to 0. So therefore, 2 over 8 is equal to 0.25, or this is now to be read as 25 hundredths. Okay? So 25 hundredths. Okay? Next example, we have, let us convert 3 over 9 to decimal. Okay? Again, to remind everybody that the numerator will be the dividend, so that will be written inside our symbol. And then our denominator will be the divisor, 9, so that will be written outside the symbol. So 3 divides 9, so that is cannot be. So we have here 0. So 0 times 9 will give us 0, so we have here 3. Then we have to add 0. What will you do to 0? You have to bring down. 30 divides 9 will give us 3. 3 times 9 will give you 27. So 30 minus 27 is equal to 3. So again, cannot be po. Add 0. Bring down 0. 30 divides 9 is equal to 3. Times 9 is equal to 27. So 30 minus 27 is equal to 3. Again, add 0. We have here 30 divides 9 will give you 3. Times 9 is equal to 27. So 30 minus 27 is equal to 3. So as you can see, nag-ulit-ulit lang po tayo. Okay, habang nag-a-add tayo ng 0, nag-uulit-ulit lang. So therefore, we have here a repeating decimal. So again, in the previous from the process that we have, so lalagyan daw po natin ng bar at the top. So we have now here, or whenever we convert 3 over 9 into decimal, this will give you 0.3. And then meron po siyang bar sa taas, since yun yung number na ulit. So kung ano yung number na naulit, yun lang po yung lalagyan natin ng bar sa taas. So ibig sabihin po dyan that we have here the repeating decimal. Now, let's have on how we convert decimal to fraction. We have here the different steps, or the following steps on how we convert decimal to fraction. First one, we have to rewrite the decimal as a fraction with a denominator of 1. Then, we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10 raised to n, where n is equals to the number of digits after the decimal. And then the third one is we are to simplify. Okay? Let's have this example. Let us convert 8/10 to fraction. Okay, so the first step, we have to write this decimal as a fraction by having it a denominator of 1. That's why we have here 8/10 over 1. Step number 2, we have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10 raised to n, where n equals to the number of digits after the decimal point. Okay? How many digits do we have after the decimal point? So, meron po tayong isa or 1. Ano po ba yung value niyan? That is 10. Tama? So, that's why, i-multiply po natin ito by, or yung numerator and our denominator will be multiplied by 10. So, we have here 8/10 multiplied by 10 for our numerator, and our denominator will be 1 multiplied by 10. So getting their product, so we have now here 8 all over 1 times 10 will give us 10. Okay? Then for step number 3, we have to simplify 8 over 10. How are we going to simplify 8 over 10? You have to think of the common factor or the greatest common factor of your numerator and your denominator. What do you think is the greatest number that can be divided between 8 and 10, both between 8 and 10? So, we can simplify this by dividing our numerator and our denominator by 2. So that is their greatest common factor. So we have here 8 divides 2 will give us 4, and then 10 divides 2 will give us 5. So therefore, 8 tenths is equal to 4 fifths. So whenever we write 8 tenths into a fraction, that is equal to 4 fifths. Okay? Next example, number 2, we have 75 hundredths to fractions. So we have to convert 75 hundredths into fraction. Again, step number 1, we have to make this decimal um, number to be written as a fraction. How are we going to write this? So we will just simply again write or have it a denominator of 1 to make it as written as a fraction. Okay? Step number 2, we have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10 raised to n, where n refers to the number of digits after the decimal. So, since after the decimal point, we have here 2 digits, ano po yung place value niyan? That is 100. So, therefore, we have to multiply our numerator and our denominator by 100. So, 75 hundredths times 100 is equal to 75. And then 1 times 100 is equal to 100. For step number 3, we have to simplify 75 over 100. Now, what is the greatest common factor between 75 and 100? And we have here 25. So, 75 divides 25 will give us 3. Then 100 divides 25 will give us 4. So, therefore, 75 hundredths is equal to 3/4. Okay? That is on how we convert decimal to fraction. Okay, so next, let us convert the repeating decimals into fractions. So we have to simply follow the following procedures on how we convert repeating decimals into fractions. So the first one, we let x be equal to the repeating decimals. Okay, if what will be, we have to let x be the repeating decimals. And then the second one, we have to identify the number of repeating digits if there is 1 or 2 or maybe 3 as a number of repeating digits. So we represent this as n. Okay. Then after getting the number of digits or the number of repeating digits, we have to multiply the repeating decimal by the number of the repeating digits. And then the fourth one, we will subtract 1 or the value of x or our repeating decimal from the product that we've obtained from step 3 for us to eliminate the repeating part. And then lastly, we have to solve for x by expressing our answer as a fraction and also in its simplest form. So let's have the following example, number 1. So let us convert 0.2. So as you can see, or 2 tenths with a repeating decimal. So as you can see, there is a bar on the top of our decimal, which is 2. So meron tayo dyan bar. So ibig sabihin po niyan, ang ating repeating decimal for ang ating repeating number is 2. So we have to convert this into a fraction. So again, our step number 1, we let x be our repeating decimal. So the 0.2 with a bar, meaning that is equal to 0.222 and so on. Okay? Next, step number 2, we have to determine the number of repeating digits. So what do you think will be the number of our repeating digits? So we have here 1. So what is the place value after this decimal point with 1 digit? So that is 10. So therefore, our n, or our number of repeating digits, is equal to 10. Okay? For step number 3, again, you have to multiply 10, our repeating digits by the number of repeating digits. Okay? So we have to multiply our repeating decimal by by the number of repeating digits. So therefore, as you can see, we have here 10x, so equal to 10 multiplied by 0.2222. Okay, and so on. And that is equal to 2.22, so on and so forth. So whenever we multiply, so we'll just simply move our decimal point 1 unit going to the right. That's why we get this answer. Then for step number 4, we have to subtract our repeating decimal from the product that we've obtained from step 3. So ima-minus po natin itong x from the product that we've obtained from here sa step 3, which is 10x. Okay? So that's why we have here, we subtract 1, or our repeating decimal, from the product that we've obtained in step number 3. That's why we have here 10x minus x. Okay? So to do, we have now here our 10x is equal to 2.222 and so on, minus our x is equal to this one, so 0.22. Again, we are doing this step to eliminate, okay? Para po mawala, natanggal natin yung ating repeating decimal. So clearly, we have here an answer which is 2, okay? Now, how about on the right side, on the left side of our equation? So this, we will apply here some sort of algebra. So we have here our variable x. So there is imaginary constant which is 1. So lagi siyang may kasama na imaginary 1. So kapag ang constant ng ating variable, or if our variable ay wala ka nakikitang constant, hindi po ibig sabihin the 0 ang constant doon. Meron siyang imaginary which is 1. So clearly, 10 minus 1 will give us 9. Then copying their common variable, that's why we have here 9x. So we have here 9x is equal to 2. So in step number 5, we have to solve for x. Okay, so we have to solve for x. So we're writing 9x minus 2. So we have to get the value of x, okay? So what are we going to do? We have to divide both sides by 9, okay? Or by positive 9. So we apply here the division property of equality. And then, dividing 9 by 9 will give us 1, okay? So kaya po wala na siya. So ang matitira na lang po natin dyan is will be x and then copy 2 over 9. So our x is equal to 2 over 9. So therefore, the 0.2, or our repeating decimal, which is 0.2, when we convert it into fraction, is now equal to 2 over 9. Okay? Okay, so let's have this example number 2. So this time, we will convert 1.345 into a fraction. So kung mapapansin ninyo, ang ating bar po ay nandito lang sa tapat ni 4 and 5. So that clearly means that only digits 4 and 5 lang po yung naulit. Hindi po kasama si 3. Okay, so to convert this decimal, or this repeating decimal, into fraction, again, for our step number 1, let us represent x be equal to our repeating decimal. Okay, so again, this repeating decimal, again, only the digits 4 and 5 lang po yung naulit. So that's why this is equal to 1.3454545, so on and so forth. Okay, and then for step number 2, we have to determine the number of repeating digits. So ilan po ba yung number of repeating digits that we have? So dalawa. If we have here 2 as a number of repeating digits, so therefore our n is equal to 100. Okay, and then for step number 3, we are now to multiply this number of repeating digits by the repeating decimal that we have. So therefore, we will now have here 100x. Okay, so ibig sabihin po nito, we have to multiply. So copying 100, and the value of x is our repeating decimal. So we are going to move our decimal point 2 unit going to the right. So as you can see, if we are going to move our decimal point 2 units going to the right, so 1, 2, so this will be the place of your decimal point, that will be now equal to 134.545454, so on and so forth. Okay, for step 4, we are now to subtract. So, ima-minus po natin itong product na ima-minus natin yung ating repeating decimal dito sa product na nakuha natin sa step number 3. So, in representing this into an equation, again, we have now here 100x minus x. Okay? So, yung ating 100x, ito po yung value na nakuha natin, yung product. So, we copy. So, 134.5454 and so on, minus the value of x that repeats or that is equal to our given repeating decimal. So we have here 1.3454544 and so on. Again, we are doing this step number 4 to eliminate, para po mawala yung ating repeating decimal. So if we are going to subtract, we will now have here 133.19. So rounded it off, that will become, or that will now be equal to 133.2. Okay, so that is on the right side of our equation. So as you can see on the left side, we'll just simply subtract x from 100x. So again, applying some sort or idea of algebra, so this variable x ay meron po siyang constant na 1. Okay, so 100 minus 1 will give us 99. That's why we have here 99x on the left side of our equation. That is for step number 4. And for step number 5, so let us just simply copy. So that is 99x is equal to 133.2. We are now to solve for the value of x. So that value of x now will be the fraction, okay? Or the equivalent of this repeating decimal into fraction. So if we are going to solve for x in step number 5, to eliminate the constant that we have on our variable x, we have to divide both sides of our equation by 99. Again, we apply here the division property of equality. Okay, so kung ano yung number na i-divide mo sa left side, yun din po yung number na i-divide mo sa right side. So again, 99 divides 99, that is equal to 1. So ang natira na lang po dito is your variable x. So therefore, we have here 1,332 over 990. Okay, bakit po naging ganito yung sagot? Okay, as you can see, our numerator here, meron pa po siyang decimal point. So that's why we have to multiply our numerator and our denominator by 10. That's why we've obtained this answer on the right side. Okay, so if we are going to simplify, getting their greatest common factor, which is 6, we have to divide our numerator and our denominator by 6. So, we'll have here an answer of 222 from our numerator and then 165 as the quotient of our denominator. So, therefore, this repeating decimal 1.34545 and so on is equal to 222 over 165 as a fraction. Okay, so that, as you can see, that is written into an improper fraction. Okay, so that is on how we convert repeating decimal into fraction. So thank you for listening and for watching this video.